Sam and I worked on creating a curriculum for an introductory EPI class, and we focused on creating a module around systematic error. And so part of that would be 3 different sessions. So the first session is on selection bias, which is what I focused on, information bias, which is what Sam focused on, and then the third session would be confounding. So these are the learning objectives for my session. I'm not going to go through all of those in today's lecture, but after the class, students would be able to understand different sources of error, differentiate validity from precision, understand selection bias, understand how it works and how it might be occurring in different study designs. And then we would also talk about strategies to minimize selection bias. So there would have been some pre-class assignments. There's reading. There's an online module, and that was done so that it would give us some time to be able to work in class in groups. And then there would be a pre-class quiz. And so the assignment or the case study that we would work on in class would be to break up into small groups and work on a study that actually found needle exchange programs increase the risk of HIV transmission. And so the students would go through a couple different scenarios looking at how differential participation might have affected the results of the study. They'd look at how loss to follow-up, and they're using hypothetical data to sort of work through what might have led to those findings. And then each group would present back on their questions. So for the objective of this micro teaching session, I'm just going to touch on the first 2 objectives of the objectives for the class session. So in EPI, our associations can be affected by 2 different types of error. There's random error and systematic error. And so random error is the probability of what we're observing is the result of chance. It's an unavoidable force of nature, but we can reduce random error by increasing our sample size. So as we have more people participating in our study, there's less opportunity for outliers to weigh in as much. So increasing our sample size can reduce random error. And so as we reduce random error, we increase our precision. And so a lot of times the way we evaluate precision in EPI studies is confidence interval. The wider the confidence interval, the less precision. So the other type of error is systematic error. And so this is pervasive throughout our study. There's not much, like increasing sample size is not going to reduce systematic error. It's going to be there. And there's 3 types of systematic error. There's selection bias, which we'll talk about later in the lecture. And this results from differences in subjects who enroll or complete the study. There's information bias, which we would talk about in the next class. And this is misclassification due to misclassification of exposure or outcome. And then confounding, which is a mixing of effects. And so that would be discussed in class 10. So like we talked about with random error affecting precision, systematic error affects validity. And so validity is the accuracy of our observation compared to the truth. So you'll remember that in the first class we talked about our goal as epidemiologists are to come up with a valid and a precise estimate of the association between the exposure and the disease. So you can have something that's inaccurate but precise. You can have something that's accurate but imprecise. You can have something that's both inaccurate and precise, but what we strive for is something that is both accurate and precise. So here we have an example of 2 studies. Which one would you say has increased precision or more precision? How come? Yeah, and you can also look at the width of the confidence interval, and that's narrower, right? Now let's say we had a crystal ball, and we knew the true risk ratio, that it was 2.6. Which one would you say was more accurate? Yeah, how come? Because the estimate is closer to the truth, right? So And so that's all I have for the micro teaching session.